Hello again and welcome back. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. It's so lovely to be back with you from holidays. I've been looking forward to coming back and doing some creative projects with you. I've been gone for around about 6 or 7 weeks. I just want to say a big thank you to all of you that have been watching my videos while I've been away and leaving such lovely comments and wishing me safe travels. So it's so kind of you all and extremely appreciated, and I'm constantly blown away at how kind and encouraging you all are, and that you enjoy watching my videos from my little patch of the world here in Brisbane. So a big thank you to all of my regulars and a big hello to my new subscribers that have joined us while I've been away. So let's have a little look at what we're doing today. You can see that I have fussy cut out a whole lot of lovely ladies, all different sizes and characters, and they are from a digital called Delicate Portraits, and it's by JLeeloo. And for some of my regulars, you would know that I like using some of JLeeloo's digitals. I will link her Etsy store below in the description, and she has lots of different digitals, but today I'm going to use this one. And you can see also that over on the side here that I have created a few basic shapes and images that go with this kit. So these are JLeeloo's and these ones are Annie Originals. And I created these shapes and coloured them in so that they would go with the style of JLeeloo's digital. And what I'm going to make today is some clusters. So let me pull one of them out. So I've created a little cluster that can go on into a junk journal, and it can enhance your page, and you can use it as a tuck spot or a double tuck spot, or you could just glue it to the page. And our little image here that I've created, that we're going to do today actually, it is blank on the back so that you can write a secret little message, and then these tuck in behind and just enhance our little clusters. So that's what we're making today. I've got 5 made that all go with these, and I'm going to show you how I draw these or color these in. And we're going to render these in today with coloured pencil. Now, normally I would do them with watercolour because I love doing watercolour. And I think that these images here have been watercoloured by JLeeloo. However, there's quite a lot of you out there that don't watercolour or don't know how to watercolour, but you know how to colour in because you've been doing it since you were little. So I decided that I would do something a little bit different. Instead of using watercolour, I would use coloured pencil. So these have all been colour rendered with colour pencil, and we're going to do one today together. So that just tucks in now, and then like I said, we can glue it into our journal as a tuck spot or just onto the page. So let me get the table set up, and I'll start by showing you how I colour render my flower. Okay, I've got all my things out and we've got our example here. And what I've pulled out is the lady that I'm going to use with this flower. And the reason I've got her out already is because I'm wanting to pull out some of the colours that are in her composition. So you can see with this one, I pulled out the blue and this muddy plum colour. And that's what I've used to colour up the flower for this lady. So on this one, I'm going to do some oranges and yellows, mostly all oranges, and then I'm going to use a little bit of the lime green as a highlight. Now you'll see here that I have just done a basic outline of a flower, a 6-petaled flower, and a bit of a swirl in the middle. And it's meant to be loose and playful and fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and then go, which way do I want to be the top? And I'm deciding that so that I can put some dimension onto it. You can see on this one I've drawn some additional line work around the petals so that they look like they're 3-dimensional. So I'm just going to get my pen and I'm going to use a Staedtler pigment liner 0.3, and I've decided that this is going to be the orientation for me to create three-dimensional form on it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw and put an additional line down here and an additional line here and wrap that up. Now if we were looking down onto this, we would now start to see that here we would see some depth to it, and we would also see some depth here. And then on this one we will see around like that, and oh, and down like that. That was a bit bodgy, Annie. And then the same on this one, we're going to see around like this and up like that. Now, as you can see, I've made a few errors, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to put a little bit of line work on it. Once it's coloured up, you won't even notice. So I'm just putting some single hatch onto it. And some hatch onto here. And now our flower looks as if it is three-dimensional. Okay, and it's rough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now you'll see on this one that we have some white dots on it, and I also have some highlights on it. So it's important for a composition to have some white space for it to have life. So I'm going to draw those on now. I'm going to draw almost like it's a little bud on here. And I'm doing that now so that I don't colour that in, so that it stays white from the very beginning. All right, and now you can colour pencil your flower in, or your heart, or your mountain, or your flower bud. So as I said, I'm going to use mainly oranges. So I'll pull out my orange palette, and I'm using Prismacolor Premier, and I have had these for about 15 years. I used them when I was doing architectural illustration, and they're my favorite colored pencils. And I do have to say, if for you to get a good result, you do need to have a good quality pencil. So all I'm doing now is I'm swatching my pencils and putting them in order of dark to light in value of hue. So I'll keep them in order now, and that's fairly important for me for getting different changes in value. So I'm just pulling out some complementary colors here that I'm going to use for the three-dimensional depth, and a dark color that's not black to do my shadows, because I don't often use black for shadows. And then I'm going to use a green from her dress to do the center. So let's do the center first, and I'm going to start with it being a little bit darker green. And I'm just going to put some lighter on, and I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to pull it in and stop a little bit from the edge, and then I'm going to use my Derwent blender pens. So these are a blender pen. It's a solvent, and it dilutes the pigment that's in the colored pencil and blends it. Okay, so that is for me the key to getting a good coverage with colored pencil that's quite homogeneous, is using a solvent blender pen. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do one petal with you, and then I will put it to some music for you to watch me render, but in fast speed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lay down a little bit of pigment, a darker color, I'm going to come back into it with my darkest colour that I'm going to use. And I'm loading onto the top. And then I'll pull out a lighter shade. And I'm staying a little bit away from the edge. And now I'm going to use my blender pen. And I'm just going to clean the green off it first before I put it onto the orange. And now I can blend that out. I think I need to get some new ones actually. And before I push that all the way to the edge, I'm going to just colour around, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a highlight white spot on the top of the petal so that it has a little bit of white on it. I'm leaving that white, and I can see that it needs a little bit more depth in it. I'm going to come back with that, load it a little bit more, and finish that off with the lighter one. Okay, now I'm going to just put a little bit of shadow around that, and I'm going to hit it with the lightest blue at the top and my darkest blue at the bottom. And the Derwent blend pen come in two sizes. They come in a bigger brush pen and then a point pen. So there we go. So that's our rendered bit. Now this bit here that's white, I'm going to leave that, and you can see here that I will drop on a little bit of white ink onto that later. Okay, so what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'll finish this off and I'll put the video to some music, and you can watch me colour this in while listening to some music. Or you can jump ahead, I'll have it time stamped, and you can jump ahead to where I've finished it. So I'll see you soon. Okay, there we go. I'm going to just clean off my blender pen because it will be covered in pigment. So I'm just going to move it around to empty it, and it eventually starts to lose its pigment that it's holding. Now I'm going to now come in and put a little bit of pen work onto it. So you can see on this one that I have got some white dots on it, and I've also got some pen work. So I'm going to put some dots into the center and probably more at the bottom than at the top. And I'm going to also do some lines onto it as if it's crinkles in the petals. There we go. So I've just put a few lines into it. And now I'm going to put some gel pen, some white gel pen, and I'm just going to do some dots in white, mainly just for contrast, so it looks like it's got light moving around it. And then I'm going to use some Liquitex, and I'm not going to do splatters. I'm just going to use some white Liquitex ink and do a bit of a line and make sure that I've got that white spot that I left, that it has a little bit of form to it, almost like that it's, you know, moving down the petal a little bit. So there we go. It's not difficult. It's just using a few different techniques and being mindful of where your light is, where your light source is coming from, and where your shadows are. So let me just now clear up, and we'll put one of these together with our orange flower. Okay, so let's have a little look at it now that it's dry. And you can see that it looks three-dimensional in a playful way. And you can see that the other ones that I've done do as well. This one here, the mountains, I've used cross-hatching on it. And I've doubled up or loaded up the cross-hatching where I wanted more shadow. And then I've left the cross-hatching quite open where I want it to look not as dark a shadow. This sunflower here, I did a little bit of circles here, and what I did was I did bigger circles in the middle as if they're coming forward, and then as I got closer to the edge I did slightly smaller circles, so it gives the illusion that the center of the flower is three-dimensional, you know, that it's got a bit of a curve on it. This one here, I left, just like I left some of the white space on the top of the petals, I left the white space here and blended on either side of it so that it made it look as if it was a donut sort of shape. Then I put extra shadows around the edge to make them drop down, and left some white here. I tried to keep some white in it. The heart, I just did the same as the petals, but I actually outlined it and made it a little bit more playful. I did quite a few different color variations in it, so it's more pinky crimson over this side and then going into red on the other side, and then just left some white bits. So let's cut the flower out, and I'm just going to fussy cut him out and leave a little bit of a edge to him. And what I thought I might do is, thought that I might scan these shapes that I've done and make them available for you. I don't have a Ko-Fi account as yet, but I was thinking about setting up a Ko-Fi. And if any of you are interested in getting these, what I might do is I'll scan them and then put them onto a A4 sheet and then you'll be able to access them on Ko-fi. And I'll make them free, so you won't need to, for those of you that are aware of Ko-fi, you know that it's like a place where you can buy or donate money to creators. So I'm not needing you to buy these. I will just make them available for you for free. So just let me know if you're interested in that, and I will go down the rabbit hole of setting up a Ko-fi. It might take me a few weeks, but if you'd like to have the ones that I've drawn and rendered in, and I might actually make some that are just line work, so that then you can colour some in yourself as well. Leave a comment below and say, yes, Annie, please set up a Ko-fi with your colourful shapes, just so that I know that people are interested. So that would be good to know before I do it, whether people are interested in it. And it's a way that I can give back to some of you that are always so kind and generous with me. So there we go. There's our flower. Doesn't that look great? Now that it's cut off the page, it looks pretty good actually, doesn't it? And let's see how it looks with our lady. Oh yes, she looks nice with it, doesn't she? The orange looks good, and that little bit of green brings over the green from here, and the tiny little bit of blue that's in her hair looks good. All right, now let me show you how I put this together. Okay, I pulled out of my stash the Practical Typewriter book, and you've seen me use this book quite a bit. I like using this when I'm wanting different type of text. So I just need to decide whether I want it to be structured text behind her or cursive. I think I like the cursive. So all I've done is I've pulled out a page, and then I've stuck it with some glue. You can see here I've glued it down to a piece of cardstock, and I think the cardstock is around 170 GSM. So it's not like super thick. You can see that it's pliable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how I want her to sit on the page, whether I want the flower on the left or the right. And I think with her hair coming down here and the flower up the top, I'm wanting the flower that I've just made to go down here, and we want the flower to be sitting so that the shadow that we've drawn is at the bottom. You can see on this one we've got the flower with the shadow, the drop shadow, sitting so that it looks as if the flower's curling up around her. And I'm going to rip out this piece of cursive writing that's about inaugural meeting, so the content's irrelevant. I'm just going to tear that out so that I get a bit of an edge on it. I think I want it to be narrow at the bottom and scooping around. So let's tear this side. And I'll scoop it around at the bottom. There we go. I like the flower to come off a little bit. Yes, that's good. And we'll tear the bottom off there. And I'll pop this to the side, and I'll put that in my stash to use for another project. Okay, so I have my back plate of what I'm going to use. I'm not liking that little bit there. Let's get rid of that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of washi onto it. Now I have pulled out a sentiment from Tim Holt's Small Talk, and it says, always be on the lookout for the presence of wonder. And I did that one for this lady because of the flower being wondrous, but also the one that she's got in her hair. And she looks quite stylish with her earrings. So I think that she likes different design. And we're going to do something like that. Now, I have some material ripped out. Now I just need to decide if I want the mustardy coloured one to ground her. So I'm going to snip a little piece of that and tear that off. Put that there for another day. And like I said, I want some washi. So I've got a All and Create, and the number is MT number 2. And I'm just going to put a little bit of washi on just to contrast some parts of the background. You can see on this one that I've done that just to add a little bit of depth. Otherwise the background would look a little bit flat. Alright, and adds a little bit of depth under there. I think I want a little bit of darkness over here. Yes, that's good. And when we have the flower in here, we won't see much of it, but I think it needs a little bit just here underneath this edge of the material. Yeah, that's better. And see how it just pushes that background a little bit into the distance a bit more by putting those darker valued blobs of black on. Okay, let's pop this together. Now, I also have some fibre, and I've used this before. I love using this. I got this at a charity shop last year sometime, and it's for florists to put into their bouquets of flower, and it's synthetic, so it's quite structured. So we're going to glue our material down first, and then we're going to put our label onto this just so that it's got a little bit of texture. So let's get some art glitter glue and put our fabric on. Nice. Then we have our lady, and tuck our flower in so we know exactly where it's got to be glued, our head. The right hand side of her and her earring there, and her body, and a little bit here and a little bit there, so that we can tuck our flower behind her. And you'll notice I'm not inking this. It's quite contemporary, so I didn't want to grunge it up too much. There we go, that looks good. Our flower tucks in there nicely. And we'll pop our fibre on now. Get a bit of an idea of where we want our label. And I'm going to put quite a generous amount of glue onto here, art glitter glue. And I'm going to put quite a lot of glue onto the back of my sentiment that I just stuck onto some scrap paper that I'd torn off, and pop the fibre on first and then push the sentiment on, and I'm just going to have to hold that for a little bit. Alright, I'll just put a weight onto that and we'll clean up, and I'll pull out all of the other ones that I've made. Okay, so here's the two that we've got going on. That's the one, the example that I showed you, and there's the one we're doing together. I've just got that sitting on it to help with gluing that sentiment down. Here's another one that I did off camera, and this one is for the mountain. You can see here we've got a bit of a princess lady that's got a crown on, and I did the same process, but this one was for the mountain. And it says, I need a 6-month vacation twice a year. That sounds absolutely fabulous, doesn't it? So I've made some mountains just to tuck in behind her as if she was going on a trip somewhere, and the mountains just nestle down behind her, and then that will stick into a journal. But you can have a hidden message written on the mountains. So there's our princess. This one here, she's got a beautiful flower on her. Aren't the illustrations from JLeeloo just lovely? And lots of lovely watercolor shading and textures on it, and line work. And I did this one with the heart. So we've got a heart to tuck in there. And it says, fall in love with as many things as possible. So that's a lovely, encouraging message. This lady here that's winking, and she's got quite a lot of personality, and it says, she could see no good reason to act her age. And she looks like she's someone who works maybe in an office and dresses really quirky and is a fun person in the team. And that's where that one just tucks in. And you can see that I actually just notched that one out so that it sat nicely in and hugged her shoulder. And this one here, this lady, she looks super fun actually. She looks a little bit quirky. She likes to dress in bright colors and, wearing hats. And she says, I have absolutely no desire to fit in. And she looks like she beats to her own drum and likes being a little bit different. So there we go, that's that one. So let's just finish it off now. The first one, you can see that I've put an eyelet on all of them. I'm going to put an eyelet on just for a little bit of dimension. I think with this one I'm going to put a teal coloured eyelet on, and I'll just punch a hole over here through the material and snip it off and set that eyelet. There we go, that turned out nice. Let's tuck in our flower. There we go, there's our one for today. Let's pop one of these into my favourites journal and see what they look like in the book. Okay, so for those of you that are new, I have a journal that I've been putting together for 2025 and 2026, and I put an example of some of my favourite things that I'm making into here so that I can look back at them and get inspired down the track. So we just need to find a page to pop one on. Let's put our princess in here. I need 6 months of vacation twice a year. I think I like to put her there. I like it next to the yellow page, and I like the tab sticking out a little bit. So I'm going to actually glue it down. But what you could do is you could just glue this on one side and the bottom, and then that would leave you a tuck spot. So it would leave you the opportunity of tucking something in there as well. But I think that for our lady here, I'm just going to glue her on and set her on the page, and then the mountains can just come out and be my writing spot. So let's glue her in. I haven't had a chance, have I, to tell you about my trip? Maybe in the next video I'll chat a little bit about some things that we did. But I was thinking today that I was looking forward to getting into making some craft, and don't want the video to be too long. There we go. She looks nice in there, doesn't she? And our mountain comes out and we can journal on the back. That's fun. So there we go. There's our quirky character clusters for today. I hope you really enjoyed that video. It was nice to actually make some things and do some color rendering and actually create something. I know that we used a digital from JLeeloo, which I will link below, but we then also created some things ourselves. Let me know if I set up a Ko-Fi if you'd be interested in downloading the shapes that I colour rendered, just so that I know how much interest there is. That'd be lovely to know that. All right, thank you very much for watching today. Thanks for coming back. And I'm looking forward to June actually, because I've got quite a nice collection of projects that I've been thinking about and pondering. And while I've been traveling, I've been, coming up with ideas, and I'm looking forward to starting a new month, because in my mind I was traveling in April and May. So it'll be nice to start a new month and have a new direction. So keep a lookout for the new videos that are coming up. My next video that's coming after this one is my haul video from the holidays, but it's a thrifting haul. And I've got a few stories to tell you about where I went, and where I found some bargains and where I didn't find some bargains. So that will be the next video. And then in June, we'll get on to doing some projects together. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. And I hope you all have an opportunity to make something fun and new. And I will see you all very soon with another project. Bye for now.